Like a terrestrial planet pulled into orbit by a giant star, my feet gravitate towards history wherever I go. When I came to Albion's campus 3 years ago, the first place they took me to was a historic Victorian observatory on the quad, and I couldn't have been more excited to explore the history there. For over 130 years, this 19th century observatory has withstood the test of time to explore the cosmos to this day, and now we'll take a deeper look into it. In 1882, then professor of physics and math and later college president Dr. Samuel Dickey proposed the construction of an observatory to the Board of Trustees. The building itself was completed in 1884 for a cost of what was then $3,650, or about $94,000 today. All other astronomical instruments installed brought the total cost to about $8,800, or roughly $226,000 today. The observatory has served several purposes throughout its history. The large room on the first floor first served as a classroom for science courses, such as physics and astronomy, and then eventually it became home to a bookstore in the early 20th century. One of my favorite facts is that it once hosted the barracks of U.S. soldiers during the First World War. Today, it is home to the Prentice M. Brown Honor Society, where honors courses are usually held. Of course, class can be held anywhere, so let me show you what truly makes this observatory special. One of the first things you'll notice going up the stairs here is this giant white pillar, and we'll go over the significance of that later on in the video. As we reach the top of the stairs to the second floor, we come across several pieces of astronomical equipment made by Foth & Company. The box-like instrument located here is a chronograph, and we'll loop back around to that after we make our way through the observation room ahead. For reference, here's a photograph of the observation room from 1901. The room most notably houses the transit telescope, an astronomical clock, and a mirror to look into the clock from the telescope. In the bottom left corner, you can also see the chronograph as it was once placed as well. A unique telescope, a transit scope is fixed in place and only allows movement north and south along the meridian, although the windows here have since been boarded up, and its main purpose is in conjunction with the other instruments on this floor, which is to record the passage of stars overhead in relation to the Earth's rotation. There are several horizontal and vertical lines in the eyepiece of this telescope that allow the user to visibly see and chart these movements. As the telescope itself isn't enough to chart the star paths, it was once connected to the chronograph and astronomical clock, the latter of which is located adjacent to the telescope. The clock here is no ordinary clock. Rather than charting solar time that we're all used to, this one charts sidereal time specifically, displaying up to 24 hours. Sidereal time itself is an astronomical measurement of how long it takes a star to move across the sky given the rotation of the Earth. Examining the last of the Foth & Co. instruments, we finally circle back to the chronograph. Its purpose is to keep track of sidereal time in cooperation with the sidereal clock, and in a way, it double-checks the sidereal clock. When an astronomer here on campus would spot a star in the transit telescope's eyepiece, they would press a telegram-like button that would send a signal to the instrument, which then stamped the current time onto paper that would be rotating around the drum. The same process is repeated to record the stop time as well. Last but not least of our exciting instruments, we come to a short, steep staircase that houses the main attraction of the observatory, and one of Albion College's most cherished possessions, an Alvin Clark & Sons telescope from 1883. Alvin Clark and his two sons were famed telescope makers in the 19th century, and it's highly suspected that this 8-inch lens refracting telescope here with us was the last of its kind produced before he passed away in 1887. Its massive size is impressive, but even more so that it was made by the same group that constructed the 40-inch lens telescope for Yerkes Observatory in Wisconsin, which happens to be the largest refracting telescope in the world. Ironically, I could not fit it in this frame. In addition, the great brick pedestal that the Clark telescope sits on is connected to the giant white pillar we saw while going up the stairs earlier. The pillar itself is anchored all the way into the basement and is what allows the telescope here to be so stable during observations. An interesting side note is that the observatory itself was built around this very pillar. Everything here in this room is still fully operational, and as we pan across the rail system of the dome, which we'll get a better view at in a second, you'll see its powerhouse. The electrical system you see here wasn't there originally. The dome used to be moved by a hand crank, but ever since 1940 it's been electrified, and the crank pieces were stored away. Although the dome's rotation was electrified, its shutter still operates as it once did long ago with the pulley system. It's a bit of a tug, but it still works just fine. Although the college has since constructed a more modern, updated observatory in the science complex, the Honors Observatory will forever remain a lasting reminder of Albion's commitment to the cosmos, and moreover, a historic window into the past of Victorian-age space exploration. Thanks for watching.